Hey, and welcome back to Troll Time, where I'm your host, Ivan D. Curtis, aka the Troll King. And this is a show where we talk sports, movies, or anything thought provoking. We're back after last night's fantastic finish in the WNBA Finals, where we'll be recapping that. And then also we'll be touching on Latricia Trammell out as the Dallas Wings head coach. Um, A. Willie is still out, but I still got my little bro with me, Nicholas Gartrell. Um, just jumping right into it. Nick, what's going on with you, man? How you doing?
A great day. Lynx won. I mean, obviously, no shame about it. I'm a Lynx fan, but I do like some great basketball. And yesterday was another classic through a great series. Honestly, probably one of the best basketball series I've ever seen. Um, there's the underdog story, and they are not going away, and they decided to push it to Game 5. So, from a basketball standpoint, it is it is amazing. NBA basketball is about to start. MLB playoffs, Yankees won yesterday, and Lynx won. So, honestly, I'm doing great.
Well, cool, cool. Before we do a deep dive into last night's action, earlier in the day, yesterday, Latricia Trammell, like I mentioned, out as the Dallas Wings head coach. That goes along with Kurt Miller from Los Angeles, Tanisha Wright from Atlanta, and Teresa Witherspoon from Chicago. That makes four coaching positions open heading into next season. Um, I felt like Latricia Trammell. I mean, she was solid in 2023. They were 22-18 in the regular season. That was the franchise best record since 2008, uh, when it was still located in Detroit as the Shock. This season, she was without Satu Sabali 25 of the 40 games, which she had a shoulder injury. So that was critical into the lack of success in Dallas. Also, I think they didn't really have a operating general manager, so to speak. I think it said Amber Cox left the role of chief operating officer after the season to become the COO and general manager of the Indiana Fever. So with her being out, now they're going to hire a general manager and coach.
Mhm.
So that kind of left me to believe that with them no, going in the direction of hiring a general manager, uh, they probably wanted that general manager to be able to come in and pick their own coach. So you add a lot of things with it, and then you throw that into the loop. It kind of made sense once I was reading up on it, but yeah, a lot of moving parts going on in the WNBA right now, especially when you talk about coaching, man. Just want to get your quick thoughts. I know you got Satu, you got Enrique, you got some good pieces in Dallas, man. But what do you think went wrong in Dallas, or how do you see that situation playing out?
I mean, they had four rookies last year. I mean, I think Sevi took there's some promise right there with her. I think, I mean, you got four rookies on the team, and then your second star goes out. Natasha Howard, she's a great if your team is ready to contend, but if your team's in the middle of a pack, I think for her it's she's not going to do too much. But I just felt like I don't think she should just be out, but I understand if the GM left, let them pick a different coach. Let them pick their coach because she made the playoffs three times in a row. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they shouldn't have gone rid of her, but it makes sense why they got rid of her. I'm curious now how much turnover are they going to get Enrique a little bit more help? Uh, I I'm very curious how it shapes out. How Sevi gonna play? With Satu being back, Rike, and then just I mean Kalani Brown is also pretty good as well. So you got kind of all those things. I want to see the shape of the roster that goes from there. I don't know how many people are actually gonna make it back. So that's a good part. But like I said, there's four rookies on that roster. I didn't feel like it was like you put the coach in a great spot on top of having your second best player off the team.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yes.
always feel like it's a tough assessment when you're talking about success or lack thereof it. When you got key players that's not even playing, they'll be in the draft lottery, which should be is set for November 17th on ESPN. It'll be interesting to see what direction they go. I mean, I wasn't a fan of their earlier draft pick, just considering what I felt like the Dallas Wings needed. But now, since they're going to get a general manager in, it's going to be interesting to see what direction that they go in. Now to the main event. Of course, we got Liberty and Lynx. It was game 4 last night. Another epic game. We have not been cheated one time in this series. Every game has been a thriller. I think I read somewhere on Twitter that they were saying that the referees was staying on point with the plot.
Oh, hey, I am a fan of a lot of things, but I will say like I definitely came on here and said Fee doesn't get the calls that she should. Um, she definitely got the calls that she should have not gotten. Like some of those fouls were definitely like and they like Breonna Stewart getting some of those fouls. I questioned, and then as soon as she hit 4, she was fouling like, whew, she was fouling
Yeah,
crazy.
we gonna get it. We're gonna get into that. Of course, the Liberty took care of business. I mean, not the Liberty. The Lynx took care of business last night. That forced it to a game 5. That would be Sunday. But last night, Lynx take care of business, 80-82. Big game from the starting 5 from the Lynx because Nafisa Collier was not even your leading scorer. Kayla McBride led the Lynx with 19 points. Shot 6 for 15, but was 3 for 6 from the 3 and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. I like the 4 for 5 from the free throw line because it shows she's being aggressive and not just settling for jump shots. And then you had Courtney Williams, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. Nafisa Collier, 14 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals. She's been heavy, whether it's been steals or blocks, in each and every one of these games in the playoffs. And then you have Bridget Carlton and Elena Smith, both with 7 points apiece. 12 points apiece, and then 7 rebounds from Elena Smith, which was a solid game, for her coming back. I know I've seen a lot of people was talking about her not looking healthy and, out there playing with a bad back and different things like that. But I felt like that was a strong game from her. And then you flip it over to the other side. This goes back, I think it was, I want to say it was game 1 where Stewie and Sabrina didn't play well.
Game
Game,
game 1. It
game
was
1, yeah, they shot terrible. And this was no different. They were 10 overall. They were 10 for 36. Sabrina Ionescu 5 for 16. Breonna Stewart 5 for 20. Leading scorers, Jonquel Jones, which I was going back and forth with somebody on the book earlier, because they just hell bent on Jonquel Jones being the best player, taking this sample size playoff look. They just think that she's the best player on the Liberty, which is I'm not even a big fan of calling out who's the best player or whatever in the team sport because it takes everybody. But Jonquel Jones led the Liberty with 21 points, 8 rebounds, was 7 for 10 and 4 for 5 from the 3. 2 blocks. She played a hell of a game, but I only got 10 points from Sabrina and 11 points from Breonna Stewart. I think Benaja Laney, Hamilton, she finished with 10 points. Leona Fiber, she was balling. I
oh
mean,
my gosh.
7 for 12, 2 for 5 from the 3, and finished with 19 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds. We talked. Me and Nick watched the game, together, and we were saying that if she was on another team, she would probably have been in the running for Rookie of the Year because she is 6'4", long, lengthy, athletic, can put it on the floor, can knock down shots. She can do everything, and a solid defender. She definitely would have had bigger and better numbers on another team, but probably more of a non-contending team, so to speak. But solid game from her. But Lynx, like I said, they forced a game 5. Nick, your thoughts on just overall how the game played out last night?
I think the game personally, I didn't think that the Lynx was gonna kind of like the way that if they kept the game close, I thought they were gonna lose. But I felt like the Lynx had to blow them out to win. But once again, they they proved me wrong again with it, and they stayed in a tough game, going back and forth. Obviously, they were getting a little bit more calls, but their starting three, their big three versus Liberty's big three, it coming out the first half was much different. It was 36-point difference between sorry, not 36 points. It was 36 to, I believe, like 15, and you can't have that from Breonna Stewart and Sabrina. Like Jonquel was carrying everything through the first half, maybe through the 3 quarters because she hasn't missed a shot for a while. She was hitting threes, getting to the bucket, like she was getting to every spot that she wanted. She really looked like she didn't want to play no game 5 for real. But I really did want to get back on the Leone part with outside of game 3, her plus minus has been insane. Like I was looking through the stats with it, like in game 2 where she only scored 3 points, just her presence on the court, she had a 17 plus minus. I think she is like she might be the key factor for the Liberty. Like if she just has another good game where she scores like 10 and Sabrina and Brianna kind of give a little bit better performance, not 10 for 36 from the field, I think they then at that point, I mean, Liberty are probably gonna win, even if Jonquil has a big game or doesn't have a big game. Like Leone giving you 19, and every time she's on the wing, like she's creating so much problems for Courtney and Natisha. Sorry, I think that's very problematic. I'm very curious how that game 5 is really gonna go. But back to it, like the Kayla came out hot, you know, during the third quarter, she didn't really score. She actually didn't score until like 6 minutes into the fourth quarter. Um, and then like Courtney, like Natisha ended up having a hand injury, so Courtney had to play more minutes than she had to. A lot of the role players had to step up. Like Dorka, who's probably played, she played like a minute and a half in game 2, and then didn't play for, I would say, like unless it was garbage time, didn't play the rest. And she played 9 minutes and played great defense. She got a jump ball, she tipped some passes, she had active hands, so she actually made quality minutes out there. Cecilia played very well too, and she has. I actually never really looked at her jump shot for real. She has a beautiful jump shot. Like just everything about her form is beautiful. And then I mean, Fee, once again, like you were saying, her stats. I mean, we might as well just throw the 3 jump balls in there as well too, on top of the four
Right.
steals and 4 steals, right? Like she's literally playing amazing. But I think the player of the game, like Kayla had 19, but Alana Smith go out there with a back injury, and she's going out there playing great defense, hitting the two really big threes, one from the left wing and one from the left corner. When they were in scoring droughts, where like they were huge. Maisha didn't get any minutes, so they turned to Dorka. Like I said, Naira and Kayla Thorne, like they play big pieces on like buying time for their starters to while they're breathing. They didn't give them nothing that time. Like I mean, 1 for 3 from the field and 1 for 1 on a three. But like I didn't like Kayla's defense too much. Kayla Thorne's defense too much. And then the one time I did see Courtney Vandersloot out there, she was guarding Courtney, and she actually locked her up until Courtney made a great play. So like the game for me personally, it's always wishy washy, and I don't like. There's no set winner for this. Like it's not like, oh my gosh, the Liberty are going to win or they should win. It's like it's neck and neck. Like the Liberty and the Lynx are always going to play a close game just based on the defensive style that the Lynx play, and the Liberty are trying to imitate. So I'm just it really, in my opinion, this game 5 going to come down to foul calls. I'm just curious who's going to get the calls.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at how close this game was. But 44% shooting, almost 45% shooting for Minnesota. 43, almost 44% for the Liberty. Both teams shot 39% from three. The free throws, Minnesota 15 for 20. New York 9 for 9. Points in the paint was another big disparity. 38 points for the Liberty, only 26 for the Lynx. That's going to be something to watch out for. Then you talk about largest lead of the game. Uh, Liberty led by 6 and the Lynx led by 5, but it was a back and forth game all night. If you didn't tune in last night, Bridget Carlton had ended up going to the line, knocking down 2 free throws to take the lead with seconds to go. And, you know, it was a point after that. She hits the free throws. Of course, the Liberty call a timeout. We kind of get a semi-listening of the timeout. We didn't really get, every word verbatim. But you didn't hear a whole lot. And then when you go out, when it came time for them to inbound the ball, you didn't see a whole lot neither. And then they ended up chucking, Sabrina chucked up a 3 from 35 feet and missed. But that was, it was a crazy game because basically Sabrina had fouled Bridget on a rebound. And then that basically how she ended up getting to the line. But like I said, we didn't sit here. We heard a little bit in the timeout. Then we didn't see any execution in the inbound, and it was tough to watch.
I was, it was crazy because we were talking about it, and we were just listening, and the only thing she said was make a play. And I do agree. Sometimes you have to make a play, but I feel like you have to give like the bones for the play.
It was 2 seconds. 2
Yeah.
seconds. Ain't a whole lot of time to make a play.
Yeah, and that's the truth. I don't even think it's one pass for real. Not in like you can't throw the ball across court. Maybe in like real basketball you got a short pass, but essentially in this case you get the ball to your stars. You let them go downhill, and you let them either try to go for a foul or and one, or like, hey, like we live with it. Like I remember it was 2.3 seconds. I watched Miami Heat LeBron catch the ball and turn down corner and go for a layup on the left on his left for a game winner versus the Pacers. I think you got to do the same thing for Brianna or same thing for Jonquel. Put them in a position to make the defense play perfect defense or make them foul. There was no take fouls. There was nothing. If there was a take foul, then yes, like okay, we gotta draw something up because they're gonna be able to foul us before we even decide to go up. But in this situation, they can't foul you. Let your best player, especially long and lanky player, former MVP, get downhill and get to the basket and let them make the play that way instead of making a play from 40 feet out. Like if she hits it, like I'm not even telling you that's a good shot. Like I'm just like that's a chuck. Like I was just like when we said it, I said, oh my gosh, like, like what are we doing? Like that's the type of play we're going from there. So. Like I mean, on the backside too, like the Lynx, they came out with the ISO versus Laney. I don't think that's one of the best matchups. Like Courtney Williams has a great pull-up jumper, like an amazing pull-up jumper that's been killing them all series. But I also don't think that was one of the best things either. I think you kind of go towards your stars and see. I mean, Courtney Williams is a star, but I feel like in that situation with 15, 17 seconds, you got to get the best defensive player off that player. Like maybe get an action towards Sabrina, like try to get an off ball, kind of like what the Miami Heat LeBron Cleveland Cavaliers has done, where he's playing against Steph Curry, and they send like 14 screens to get Steph Curry going at the end of towards the end of the game, and say Steph Curry, you're guarding LeBron. So I didn't like the play call from either side, but I mean obviously the play call led for Bridget Carlton to get a foul on her putback. I mean, Sabrina was boxing out, but like she was always out, so it bound to be a foul. And Brianna Stewart looked like she hit her hand as well, so there was 2 fouls on the play.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna play a clip of the post game presser, minute clip. Sandy Brondello giving her thoughts and opinions, I guess, about the officiating for the game.
This and I look at the thing here, and I know Cheryl talked about it last time, but we got no calls today. So do I need to talk up in a press conference? Because they were getting ticky-tacks, and we went down there and got hit and get nothing. It was like 12-6 at half-time, and they tried to even it up near the end. It was 14-9. No, all we want is fair. Okay, so if we're getting hit, that's a foul. You know, and I'm one of the nicest bloody coaches in this league, but this pisses me off. Just be fair. You know, if they're getting hit, it's a bloody foul. But in the end, close game. You know, things we could have done a little bit better. think we all could have done better, including me getting that timeout. Sorry, shouldn't say that. Don't repeat it. But so we just have to go back to New York and win.
Okay, and basically in that clip, she's saying about they didn't get any calls. She did mention that she could have did some things better too, but basically just not getting the calls. And that's what it come down to. She kind of was pissed off about that. And, just your thoughts, Nick, on I think personally, she's kind of trying to set the tone for Game 5. Fighting for
Same
her
way Coach
player.
Reeve.
Yeah, fighting for her players. I mean, well, that's what any coach is supposed to do. I do like the fact that she has some kind of accountability, talking about the timeout and different things of that nature and stuff like that. That could have been done towards the end of the game, but I think she's fighting for her players. 20 free throws to line it in a physical game. Hey, it can go either way. Me personally, even when I coached, I never like to put the hands of the game in the hands of the officials. They're not going. I said they play a pivotal part. Don't get me wrong, but they don't miss layups. They don't make you miss free throws. They don't make you miss jump shots. They don't always make you turn the ball over. So a lot of it has to start with you and your team. But just like I said, Nick, your thoughts on her rant in the post game.
I will tell you what my dad always told me. My dad always told me two things. Players don't get fired for missed free throws, and refs don't get fired for missed calls. You know who gets fired? The coach. And that's how it always will be. That's just how I look at it. So you don't put the game in the ref's hands and expect that they're gonna get you calls. You play the game if they're not gonna give you calls, and you go through how the game is being played. Like if the ref is giving you calls every time you go down low, then that's how maybe you push that towards that. But the fact that you're like, well, the refs ain't giving us calls, the ref ain't doing this, like there's certain things that you guys could have done better personally. Like you guys had 15 turnovers in game 4 and in game 4 and game 3. You guys both lost the turnover battle both times, and you guys got lucky in game 3 that it kind of went away from you guys. But for them to win, they can't have more turnovers. And the Lynx had more points off turnovers, and it was a 3 turnover difference. So 19-10 off the points turnovers, in a disparity between game 3 where the Liberty had 16 turnovers and the Lynx had 10, and the Lynx scored 18 off their turnovers, while the Liberty only scored 8 points off that turnover, which means the Lynx are getting back and the Liberty aren't getting back on those turnovers. I think that's more of the key situation that I feel like Sandy needs to Coach Brandello needs to pay attention more, because that's something that you can control. You can't control if the ref is going to give you calls or not. Like, you can argue about it. I think in this game 5, there's not going to be a lot of foul calls that's going to be going anybody's way. I think it's just going to be a game of it's going to be very, very physical game. I think a lot of things are going to be able to play. I can see John Quell and Fee both complaining at a high level, and Sabrina. But, I mean, this game is going to come down to turnovers. I think it will be turnovers and points off turnovers. Because I mean, one thing for sure, I mean, Kurt, we've been to a lot of Liberty games.
A lot of them.
It be rocking in there. That's going to play another part as well. It be going crazy in there. So I'm curious how much of the factor that's going to play. I do know like a lot of Lynx players, like families, are on the East Coast, so that might offset it as well. But man, that stadium is going to be rocking. So I think those are probably the two major factors. I think the rest are not going to play a huge part in Game 5, in my personal opinion. But she does have a right to argue for her players, because that's how you get it noticed, through like openly saying things is how you kind of get things noticed, even if you get the fine. So
I mean, of course I know your bias. I know your team. I mean, your heart is with Minnesota. But if you throw your basketball cap on, you still taking Minnesota in Game 5?
I think it's Liberty's games to lose. But I think I think the game will come down to how Jonquel and Sabrina play. Brianna's gonna get you a bunch of stops. Brianna's gonna get you some points. She's gonna get on the free throw line. Obviously, she shot 5 for 21. I think Fee has done a great job guarding her, and the way that Minnesota defense collapses and play defense, it really is going to be based on how Jonquel and Sabrina play. I think Leone's gonna give you some. Uh, Laney's gonna play some great defense, but if Sabrina's gonna throw like a stinker out there, and Jonquel's gonna throw like not to do a like we just need not we, but they just need a decent performance from Jonquel, like where she's controlling the paint, getting the boards. That's where it's at because the Lynx typically get out rebounded by the Liberty. So I would say Liberty gonna like the Liberty are the favorites, but I think this is like a 2 point game again. This is what it's gonna come down to. I don't think there's an obvious pick for a winner. So I mean I'm gonna go Lynx because I do want to see them win. So but I wouldn't even be surprised if Liberty win.
Yeah, you said we. That was that New York oozing
Yeah.
out. That was that New York oozing out of you.
I will. A funny story. I told my dad I was going for the Lynx. He understood why I was going for the Lynx, but he was telling me he was like, you know that like when the Liberty first came around, you was rebounding for Teresa Witherspoon, right? Like he was like you when they was playing in the bubble, you would sit there and practice all the time. He took me to the games, all that. So he's like, I understand why you a Lynx fan, but he was like, man, like it sucks that you're not rooting for the Liberty right now. So I didn't even know all those stories that I used to rebound for Teresa when I was younger when they was at the bubble. So um you know I am I am a Liberty fan because they were part of the Knicks when I was growing up and I used to go to them, but I fell in love with women's basketball in Minnesota. So and I'm obviously very cool with the players. So I do lean a little bit more towards them because I do want them to win a ring.
Nah, it makes sense. I get it. I get it. I mean, me, I kind of been open. Uh, ever since my departure from Brooklyn, I've been just an open fan. But my heart is still gonna lie with the Liberty for the most part. I mean, because that's where. Hell, when I first started in '97, I was rooting for the Liberty because I was a Knicks fan. So it just went, hand in hand. But then when I got the opportunity to work with Brooklyn, then of course it even heightened even more, especially when they moved from actually Madison Square to Barclays. So
That was our first year.
yeah,
That when they moved over there. So man, it's tough because we've seen them come a long way, and we've seen them. And the one thing that I think Brooklyn or BSC Global has done for them has been like always a huge advocate. They put money into that team, like to the fact of like the brands, like off-white activation with Liberty is crazy. Like you have some of the biggest stars going to these games. Like sometimes they don't go to Nets games, they go to Liberty games. So I mean, like obviously some people show up a little bit more when they're winning, but like like if they're on a loser streak or anything, you see her there. You see like the owners there. You see a lot of famous people consistently show up. So the Liberty, like as a New Yorker, I do want them to win, but my heart is lying with the Lynx. But at the end of the day, for if you're a true basketball fan, we're all winning.
yeah, no
It's a
doubt,
great game.
no doubt, no doubt. I think for me, I'm rocking with the home team in the closeout game, but I'll tell you this right now, man. If New York does not seal the deal, this is gonna be tough. The 2 years in a row, and to lose on your home court would be
Both times.
yeah, but that would take a lot out of you. And then I don't see Stewie having another game. She doesn't consistently have bad games back to back. She may have one bad game and then boom, bounce back. Next one, you know, off the chain, regular Stewie. But I don't see her having back to back bad games. But I'm going to be more in tune for the start of the game because New York is typically they get off the hot starts. It doesn't
Yeah.
always sustain, and then we find ourselves in a gut match, as my homeboy, as A Willie would say, a rock fight. But they even last night, New York never looked like they was out of the game. Like,
Never.
and then even when they got up, Minnesota never looked like they was out of the game. And that's been the type of series that it's been, is that no matter who's ahead, it always seemed like the other team is still in the game. So, man, I'm gonna go with the Liberty because they're at home, but I wouldn't be disappointed either way. If, like I say, I'm a big Nafisa Collier fan. I know a lot of people don't rock with Cheryl Reeves, but if you a coach or a former coach, or you a hoop head, like I rock with Cheryl Reeves because the work is evident with the product. So, like, I mean, because like I've been defending the whole time this week, is like this was supposed to be Minnesota's rebuild year. Like, this wasn't they wasn't talked about in the beginning of the season as being a contender or
Yeah.
anything like that. I mean, so the moves that she made to put them in position to be where they at, it's no consolation. I mean, now you there. The goal is to win it, but I'm just saying this wasn't even supposed to be their time. And the core of the team that they have right now, I feel like, man, it could be something that they can build on. It's a group of young players. They're not a ton of fading vets or anything like that. It's a young team, so it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow, and then beyond for them. I mean, because
That's
it's a great
that,
core of players.
that's what's scary about it.
Yeah,
The Lynx being young, but also another part is them being young makes them a huge like a target for the expansion draft, and that's also another part to it as
that's
well
a
because
great point, Nick.
they could lose another piece. Like a piece that's like been loading, right? Like I said, Dorka's been on the roster for 2 years. Diamond Miller's been on the roster for 2 years. So you got two of these players that like Dorka has size and she has active hands. Like you could see that she's gonna be. I think, in my opinion, she's gonna be a great defender. I don't know how much offense she might provide, but she definitely is. When she got in the game, she made an impact, and she definitely went body. Like we were talking about, well, Dorka versus Jonquel Jones, that's like a 25-pound difference. She was out there. She put the hands out. She tipped passes. She switched. She might not be too agile, but she takes up space and she has long arms. Um, and then you got Diamond Miller, who hasn't played. She's only played garbage minutes in the series, but I think her future. Like I'm a huge Diamond Miller fan since she's been at Maryland. Um, I went to that Big Ten championship game where I was watching Caitlin Clark and Diamond Miller play against each other, and I can see there was a clear difference between every other player and those two. Like she dribbled harder and everything, and I just think that she could be a tremendous defender down the line, especially with how fast how long her arms are. She gets through screens. It's just at this point, like to me, like as long as she gets a little bit more offensive back. So, I mean, like the future is so bright for the Lynx, especially if like I mean, just depends on this expansion draft. I mean, once again, though, one player can get taken, so that's another part, and just comes down to these six players that they're willing to protect. And the better question is, and I'm gonna throw this back to you, Kurt. I want you to put on your GM cap. You lose the game 5 to the Lynx. What is your next step? You just went to the championship back to back. What do you blow up the team? Do you like add another piece? Because I think you guys are salary capped out. So I mean, what do you run it back again? Like, what is the option at your point?
Man, I've been in this. I played this in my mind because last season I felt like I said, okay, they got to go out and get deeper. Like they got to get a deeper bench because I felt like that was the advantage that Vegas had because they had two key players go down and still was able to pull it out because they had players that came off the bench. They didn't woo you to death, but they came off ready to contribute, whether it was just playing defense or getting steals or getting, deflect, like just being active. Like, so I felt like the Liberty did that. It was it was disheartening when I realized Marine Johannes wasn't going to be playing. Like that, I felt like was a big deal because if you look at the Liberty, they're not a team full of youth. Like
No,
they're
they're not.
they got some players getting older, and they're not as athletic. I think that's where Leone came in is because she fed into that. Like she gave them a little bit more athleticism. She gave them more size. She gave them inside outside threat. And different things like that. And initially, she was on a bench, so that gave them also a lot coming off the bench. But now, when she becomes a starter, then you see a decline in their roster. So, man, that's going to be tough. I think they need if they don't seal the deal, or even if they do seal the deal, because you got to realize teams are going to get better every year, like whether it's through free, because it's a ton of free agencies, and we're going to get to that later in the year about the free agency pool. But it's a lot of players that's going to be in the free agency.
I gotta check the free agency pool, but I mean, you also got Kiki coming in, Paige, and you got what's the girl from Iowa State? Emily Ryan.
Yeah.
You got three great players. Oh, and Anisha Morrow coming in. So you got
Nisa,
four.
yeah.
You got four players that I think that will play very well next year, at a high level coming in. So
Well, neither one of these top teams will see them, but that is feeding into the point of what I'm saying. Teams are going to get better,
Yeah.
but that's why I think New York has to seal the deal, man.
Well, I was actually gonna say yes, they definitely need to seal the deal for their window. Like this is their I think
Right.
this is their second to last chance. But even if that's the case, teams aren't gonna get better. Teams around the league are gonna get thinner, right? Like instead of having like these top teams are gonna have 6, 7, 8 good like okay, like the three players that come off the bench that are really really good. Remember those players are probably gonna leave there and go start somewhere else, like start on the Valkyries, So like you got that part, and then the next 2 years the next year after that, you got two more teams. So you from going from okay down the line, I got 6, 7, 8. All these three girls that I'm not playing with are really good. Now they're about to be starters on Valkyries, Toronto, Portland. So you got all that.
No, you're right. It's gonna be something to see, but like I said, they have to seal the deal. You made a great point. This is their window to win. Like right now, there is no next year or the year after that or anything like that. I mean, they need to win hands down tomorrow. And that game, like I said, is Sunday, 8 p.m. on ESPN, Game 5. Winner will be the 2024 WNBA champion. Nick, before we get out of here, as usual, you got anything you want to get off your chest?
Do I have anything getting off the chest? Man, I hope the refs let them play. I want to see some physical Game 5 basketball. That's what I want. This is the pinnacle of everybody's like sport. Everybody dreams about this. Like as much as I'd be like I want to win a championship and I want to win in 3, I actually never want to win in 3. I'd rather win in Game 5 or Game 7 in a close game every time. Now, obviously I want to be the winner of my dreams. So, obviously that's the tough part, but I really want to see a great basketball game, and I hope the refs let them play. Like I want to see a lot of players finish through contact. I don't want to see a lot of complaining. Like I think this is the moment this is my moment for Sabrina Kurt. If she don't do nothing this time, I'm done. I will literally become a hater. I will finally admit it. I'm not a hater because I definitely admit that she has skill. I've always said that. But this is my make or break moment with her right now. She's 27, right? She's 27. She's gonna be turned 28 next year. Jonquel is 31, and Brianna's gonna be 31. This is their chance. This is their chance to take over the league. Win the championship. So if Sabrina don't perform, I will come back, and I will have some words.
Yeah, well put, Nick. And I say once again, thanks, Nick, for coming on. And part of my last words is that make sure y'all tap in, man. Tap into the WNBA Finals, man. It's been exciting. It's been some great basketball. Regardless of the officiating. Officiating is always terrible to me because you can never get it right. I think if they even tried to get it right, the games would last 5-6 hours. Because they'd be shooting a ton of free throws. So players come ready to play. Hopefully we see the best out of Brianna Stewart, Sabrina, of course Nafisa. I think it's going to be a great game. So just make sure y'all tap in. And also keep tapping into the show. And as always, if you don't remember anything, remember I'm here to laugh, show love, promote, talk sports, movies, joke, and troll. Catch you on the next episode.